Good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on where you are in the world. It is Wednesday today, and we are back for another Confidence Convo. This is season 2, and this is episode 7. And this week, we are diving into how to overcome analysis paralysis. But before we get started, I'd like to introduce myself. I am Davina Maria, and I am a master coach and founder of the Restore Yourself Method and host of Worthy Women Facebook group. And I help female go-getters in their 30s develop unshakable confidence so they can powerfully step into their limitless potential. Over to you, Joanna.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Davina. My name is Joanna Tonkin. I'm a registered psychotherapist, confidence coach, and the founder of the Confidence Formula. I help young adults improve their self-confidence so that they can become successful. Davina and I got together to create this for you because we are obsessed with all things personal development, and we strongly believe in the power of learning from one another.
And just to clarify, we are not perfect at being confident all of the time. Like you, we move through our struggles and overcome obstacles and mindsets to continuously improve. So just think of us as guides by your side. I'm really excited about today's topic. I know I'm always excited about, our topics, but I'm really excited about today's topic because we're going to dive into how to overcome analysis paralysis. And I think it's always great at the beginning of our episodes, and we start off with what is our topic. So today we'll start off with what is analysis paralysis. And for me, I quite like this one because I feel like it says exactly what it is in the title. There's no guessing, there's no ifs, buts, or maybes. It literally is when you analyze things to the point that you paralyze yourself. And, the way that I kind of think about it in my head is when you're overthinking. Some people call it ruminating, when you're kind of just going over and over and over the same thing over and over again. And there isn't or you don't have a perception that there's an end in sight. You're almost like going round and round in circles. I suppose that's another way of saying it. To the point where you feel like there is no solution, there is no end, and you're just going to continue in that cycle until whenever. And that's when you become paralyzed because you don't know what to do, you don't know what action to take, and you don't know how to kind of move forward. So that's how I kind of think of it. Joanna, do you have a slightly different definition?
No, my definition is kind of similar. First of all, analysis paralysis is incredibly common amongst people with low self-confidence. I know most of my clients at some point let me know, like, hey, Joanna, how do I make a decision of like what program to go to, what job to apply for, what relationship to pursue? Like, there's so many questions, there's so many decisions that we're forced to make in a given day. I think it's like 35,000 decisions per day.
Yeah.
We're forced to make. So your brain is working really, really hard for you. And sometimes we allow our brains to work extra hard for us for a number of reasons, which I'll explain in a minute. But just, again, basically super common amongst people with low self-confidence, super common amongst perfectionists or rigid thinkers, people pleasers, empaths. So if this is you, or if I haven't identified how you identify yourself, but you feel like you're an overthinker or overanalyzer, just know that that is totally normal and part of human behavior and a natural part of your thinking process and conditioning. What I would say, similar to what Davina said, what analysis paralysis is the process where you use overthinking or overanalyzing a situation to cause where overthinking or overanalyzing a situation can cause the inability to move forward or make a decision toward a specific topic, aka become paralyzed, become stuck or frozen or procrastinate actually doing something, meaning that no solution or course of action is decided upon. And that can be really frustrating, right? If you're trying to decide on something for yourself, for your future, for your family, for your life, and you have so much information, you keep getting different opinions from different people, and you keep getting more information about what you could do. Sometimes we think more information equals more clarity, and a lot of the time it's the opposite. More information equals less clarity.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. And I feel like there's something really interesting in what you said about this being really common, because I feel like that is very validating. I know that I overthink from time to time. And I think, as you go on your confidence journey, for me, I feel like that is a lifelong journey, but it's also to reduce the time between the overthinking cycle and the decision. So if you do have
Mhm.
low self-confidence, you might find that the overthinking maybe takes days, and then you reach a decision after a number of days. And the more you gain confidence, the shorter that time will become. You might spend, 10 minutes overthinking something, and then you might think, you know what? I'm going to get out of this cycle. I know exactly how to do it. So I feel like it's really validating to know that it's very normal, and everyone will go through kind of analysis paralysis at some point. But I also just wanted to mention that the more you build your confidence, the shorter the time will be between the overthinking and the decision making. I don't know if we've got a poor connection. I think Joanna is frozen. I'm just going to give it a minute. Are we back? Oh, maybe not. While we wait for Joanna to kind of jump back in, just wanted to kind of reiterate what we've just been saying. So we've both kind of given a definition of analysis paralysis. And Joanna, I'm not sure how much you got from the time when you disconnected to now that you're back in the game.
Sorry about that. My internet just cut out for a minute. I thought it was really interesting how you were talking about how, when you don't feel like you have a lot of confidence, it takes you a really long time to make decisions. Confidence, that amount of time actually shrinks.
Yeah.
Afterwards?
No, that was the main point of what I was saying. But I also was saying that it's really great to be able to validate it and say that this is normal and there's nothing wrong with you if you find yourself in, an overthinking spiral, or if you are in kind of like analysis mode and you get paralyzed. I just wanted to say that, what you said was really great, where, this is something that happens to a lot of us and it is absolutely normal. So yeah, I love that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious, like, while you say, the more confident, if you, know or like you understand, why that is, why that happens. Any guesses?
Well, I think the answer to that question is kind of in the next part of what we were going to talk about. So I know that we were going to talk about why we go into analysis paralysis. And for me, the answer to that question is in the answer to that question as well, because I believe that at times a decision has to come before action. And I feel like when you're in analysis paralysis, you're not making a decision. And then I also believe that if you're not making a decision, even though you know that a decision needs to come first, then what is it that you're avoiding deciding and doing to then get out of the analysis paralysis and move forward? So I kind of feel like, you know, sometimes when we're overthinking things, and you mentioned people pleasers and perfectionists, I think we're thinking about things outside of ourselves, people outside of ourselves, circumstances that we can't control, things that we don't really know. Well, it basically is things that we can't control, things that are outside of us. And the more you kind of think about what will happen if, or what will they say, or how will they behave, or how will they feel, you're kind of tying yourself up in knots, really, and you're actually avoiding, I guess, going in. You're avoiding going in and thinking, okay, in the situation, what is it that I want? What is it that I'm going to decide to do? And then move forward from that point and think, okay, how will I do it? So yeah, I feel like it happens partially out of avoidance. And maybe, there's something a little bit deeper there. Maybe there's fear of rejection or there's fear of something. Um, but yeah, I think my answer to your question is also my answer to why do we do it.
Yeah. And judgment or what other people will think. Like sometimes it's also just like fear of being of not knowing what's going to happen, the uncertainty or insecurity of happen next. And so I think that
Yeah.
the more confident you get, that you know yourself, the easier it is to make decisions that are in alignment with yourself, that actually, feel like they're right for you, whether or not anyone else agrees with that or not, right? So if you know that you like maths and sciences, maybe you want to choose a program that really, harnesses those skills, or maybe you're really good at creative arts, or, writing, essays or whatever it is, and you want to choose a program or a job that really allows you to practice those skills. So I think the better that you know yourself, the easier it is to make decisions. And that's why I think becoming more confident allows you to overcome analysis paralysis.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And in your opinion, why do you believe that we kind of get stuck in the analysis paralysis cycle?
I think overthinking, overanalyzing, um, thinking keeps us, I always come back to the mind is
Ooh.
its job is to keep us safe, and it keeps us safe in the familiar and the comfortable, right? And so if we're thinking about something, we don't actually have to do anything, right? And if we're not doing
Mhm.
anything, we avoid the failure or feelings of discomfort that can come with a decision that may or may not be what we wanted or turn out the way we expected, right? So I think overthinking is a coping mechanism when we're afraid of something, when we're unsure of something, or feeling insecure about it. It's that feeling of unsafety or that feeling of threat in the body. And it often leads to that procrastination or feeling stuck.
Oh, I love that. And do you know what? I feel like we're very much on the same page with how we feel about analysis paralysis and our definitions for it and, why we do it. But I feel like you articulate the point so much clearer than I do. And I think we are saying the same thing, and I love how you've picked up on the point about not feeling safe and uncertainty, because I find it quite interesting how one of our human needs is uncertainty, but at the same time, sometimes having that uncertainty makes us feel really unsafe. And I love how you've just said that when we're thinking, we don't have to do anything. And I feel like that is like everything kind of summed up in a nice little package because, yeah, I know I mentioned the word avoidance, and I feel like it kind of links in very nicely because the more you think, the less you have to do, which means you can avoid the doing. And the doing is getting you out of your comfort zone potentially, which means you're keeping yourself safe, you're avoiding the discomfort, and you're staying in that cycle. I love that. That makes it so clear for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I like that you said that human need is like uncertainty, and I love that way you say it. And I would also kind of reframe it a little bit for how I think about things. And the human need is to grow, is to step
Mm-hmm.
outside the box, outside the comfort, what we need. And it's that, just doing that, feeling the fear and doing it anyways, that allows you to experience that growth and to develop that sense of confidence in yourself.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a really good point. Um, so for anyone that maybe doesn't know whether they've ever been an overthinker, or for anyone who feels like I don't really know if this is for me, I don't really know if I struggle with this, how would you say, what are the symptoms that you would kind of list if someone is like, oh, I'm not sure if I do that? What kind of symptoms would you expect someone to exhibit if they are in analysis paralysis?
Yeah. Some of the things that I've noticed in my clients, and this is not a definitive list, and feel free to add, like we said, ruminating on thoughts, increased heart rate,
Mm,
sweating, anxiety, nervousness, fear of making a mistake, loss of sleep or fatigue,
yeah,
inability to focus, lack of productivity, right? So just having like so much, spending so much energy basically in your head that you're not actually
yeah.
doing anything. You're not sleeping, but you're not actually being productive at what you're trying to accomplish. You're just, all your energy is spent in your head, and it's probably causing you to feel really tired.
Yeah, yeah, I love those, and I feel like they're really good ways of telling whether you're kind of in the cycle. I would add I would add something to do with your mood. I normally notice that when I go into overthinking, I get a shift in my mood. And I always feel like my kind of emotions are a message. So whenever I feel like my mood has shifted, I think, oh, what's happened? And I feel like when you start overthinking, I do feel like it affects your mood. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I love that you said anxiety because as you were talking, I was thinking, oh, yeah, it sounds very much like the symptoms of anxiety. Um, I also feel like I know you mentioned this earlier, but if you find yourself asking so many people the same question to get the same advice, over and over and over again, and you're not actually taking the advice, you just keep asking for more and more advice, I would say that's definitely
Mm-hmm.
a symptom as well. And then the final one I would say is confusion for me. If you generally feel super confused about what it is you're doing, um, I would say you're probably in sort of analysis paralysis to some degree.
Mm-hmm. Definitely confusion or feeling less clarity than when you started. Sometimes more options, like I said, more information equals more confusion and less clarity.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I know with like I think I learned this years and years ago with like marketing. They always say not to present too many options because when you want someone
Mm,
to buy, if you give them three or four options, they're like, "Oh, I don't know what I need." Whereas if you present one or two, they'll be like, "Oh, I know I don't need that one, so I'll have that one." So
exactly.
I think that kind of links in quite nicely to what you just said about, yeah, if you have too many options, of course you're going to be a bit confused. Um,
And so, with that
yeah, I love
said, like, what are some things that our viewers can do to help them overcome analysis paralysis? What do you think?
the way that I do it is a little bit harsh, and I know it's not for everyone, but I feel like when I get into like my overthinking spiral, I would say the first thing that really helps me is to notice it. Because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like the moment you notice it, you almost take a bit of the edge off. So even if you are overthinking and you just say to yourself, okay, I'm overthinking right now, I feel like that naturally kind of calms the anxiety down a little bit. Yes, it doesn't get you to move forward, but it will kind of calm you down internally. The next thing I would probably do is really check in with myself and try and understand how I'm feeling and name the emotion. So, for example, if I'm feeling afraid of something, just again naming that emotion, saying, okay, I'm scared of moving forward because of XYZ, or I'm scared of what someone's going to think of me, or I'm scared of a reaction. I think that calms you down even more. And then the third thing I would do is I would decide. And I would make a decision based on the information that I have, not the information that I don't have. And I would
Mm-hmm.
probably tell myself that even if the decision that you make is the wrong one, you can make another decision and you can change whatever you're doing. But in order to feel better, you need to make a decision, move forward. And if that decision doesn't really work out for you, make another decision and continue to move forward. So for me, I feel like it's like a three-step process. So, like
Mm-hmm.
noticing the analysis paralysis, naming the underlying emotion, and then deciding to do something and moving forward.
Yeah, I think that was very simple, very clearly described. Only other things that I might add to that list, just like limit the amount of time that you give yourself to think of the solution. So if you want to make a decision, give yourself, a week, 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever timeline feels right for you to make that decision. Also limit the amount of choices that you have. Like you said with the marketing example, don't give yourself 15 choices of different job opportunities. Maybe focus on 2 or 3 that you're looking at that you're really excited about. And lastly, to avoid asking other people for opinions. The more people you ask, the more opinions you're going to get, and probably the more confused you're going to be. So, you want to limit the amount of opinions, limit the amount of information that you have, make the best decision. I love what you said. You can make a decision and you can always change your mind later. Nothing is set in stone, nothing is permanent. So just remember that no matter what you decide on, things are flexible, things are malleable, and you can always change.
Yeah, I love that. I love the first one that you said about limiting your time. I absolutely love that. And I read somewhere, you probably will know this more than I do, but I read somewhere about how humans actually love to have a deadline and it gets you to take action. So I feel like if you look at the time that you have to think about something, you know that in a day I have to decide, or in a week I have to decide. And I feel like it gives you almost like a container that you're within, and you know that within this container I have a set amount of time, and then I need to yeah, I love that. I love that one. And I feel like um the other one that you mentioned, the asking others for opinions, like stop doing that. I think that is so, so, so key as well, because I think it kind of all comes back to your confidence. The more you ask other people what you should do, what you should decide, the less you're kind of leaning on your own confidence and your own inner trust and your own kind of, inner peace. And that's everything that we kind of speak about. And I feel like, yeah, by asking other people over and over again, you're kind of going against, you're probably eroding your confidence, in all honesty.
It just gets really noisy, and then of course you don't know what to decide because mom says this and dad says this and brother says this and sister says this and friend said this and bosses say this and mentors say this, and you're just like, I don't know who's right. And really at the end of the day, you know what's best for you, and you choosing what resonates with you and what you think the best possible decision is in this moment is what's best for you. And you can try something and it can work out, or you can try something and it might not work out, and you just make another decision based on that result. So action is far superior to thinking about it. It actually causes you to get somewhere because you can think about something indefinitely, but once you do something, you'll know pretty soon, whether it's the right decision for you or not, and then you can self-correct.
Yeah, I feel like action definitely gives you more information, so the more action you take, the more information you get, and then the clearer your decisions become because you have more information. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Wow. These episodes go so quickly, and this is another topic that I feel like we could talk a lot more about. But it's been so great chatting with you about analysis paralysis, and we will be back with another topic in 2 weeks' time. For more information on who we are, what we do, and our love of all things confidence and self-development, you can find or follow us from our social media information, which will be posted below in the comments. And if you like what you heard, please feel free to like, share, or subscribe, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time.
See you soon. Take care.